Welcome back to part 15 of How to Cope with Cancer by Infinite Motive. Today's topic is one of the most important factors in how your body will handle treatments, especially high dose chemotherapy. It's movement. Movement is going to help you in many ways, I believe, but it'll mainly be in the fact that when you're spending long hours of laying in your hospital bed, you can experience fluid buildup in your lungs. I personally went through this during one of my more difficult times with transplant. Just couldn't get out of bed, wasn't forcing myself to do the moving that I needed to do, and your breathing starts getting labored. You feel the weight in your chest, and you can tell that your body is starting to deteriorate more quickly than it was prior. And having a support system is obviously very helpful in terms of them giving you a little push when you're really down and out and not willing to do things. I was fortunate enough to have that with my parents. The doctors and the medical staff will encourage you to move, and if you refuse and say that you're unable to, then at the very least they'll be giving you an incentive spirometer, which is like a breathing apparatus that will train your lungs and keep them strengthened when you're not able to walk around. At the very least, you need to be doing that. I know firsthand there's days where just getting up to change your clothes, brush your teeth, take a shower especially, getting something like that done can feel like you took on the world and you're completely wiped out and you can't move anymore. I get it. I know it's a struggle, and it's just something that you have to focus on checking that box and just cranking it out however you can. And it's a hassle. Wheeling around an IV pole through the hall, walking all slow because you have no energy, it's no fun. But it's the difference between an infection and being able to go home for a little bit before your next round of chemo or whatever the situation is. I encourage movement above all else. I know that people will get in their heads about the amount that they're able to do. Oh, I can barely walk. What's the point? Well, you need to start somewhere, and those few steps are going to be better than doing nothing at all. I know that post-transplant, I remember my parents drove me to the park, and I knew in my head I didn't have much in the tank. And all we did is we got out and walked to the closest light pole. It was maybe 50 yards. And I knew upon reaching that after being shaky and wobbly all the way up to it, I knew I couldn't go any further because then I wouldn't be able to get back to the car. We went to the pole and then back to the car, and I was wiped out. But that was what led to the next step of me going and walking a little bit further and then continuing to do so until I build up enough stamina to start walking consistently for longer distances. And that's what everybody has to do. You have to understand that through an intense treatment like this, you're going to be starting in very small amounts of anything that you do. And it might not seem like you conquered a big goal in that moment, but you're stacking those wins. And then eventually you look back and you say, wow, look at where I came from and look where I am now. That's part 15 of How to Cope with Cancer. Movement is the most important thing. Go ahead and give us a like, share, follow, subscribe. Tell us your story. Tell us how movement helped you through your treatments. Give us a follow on infinite.motive on Instagram, Infinite Motive Official on YouTube, and I'll see you guys for the next part. Thanks a lot.